and we should have a nice, relaxing cruise. Have any of us been punting before?
No.
No? Neither have I. So we'll figure it all out together. It's good to see that we're all in the same boat. I'll be trying to make this ride as informative and hopefully as entertaining as possible without falling in. So the first site of our tour today is on the right hand side, and it is the Antigua boat sheds, built in 1882, making it 141 years old. It is the oldest commercial building in all of Christchurch, still being used for its intended purpose. I'm sure that we've all heard the very famous saying, once a boat shed, always a boat shed. Also, we have a boat coming next to us right now, the Queen Elizabeth II, our biggest boat. And the punter is Bella, one of our best punters. Very high survival rate, and it's just gone up. Good job, guys.
Yeah, thanks. Right, have fun, guys.
So the river that we are cruising down is known as the Avon River. The Avon also has its Māori name, which is the Otakaro. Otakaro meaning place of games, or place where games are played. This meaning comes from when the Māori would bring their wakas or their canoes down the river. They would bring the whole family or whānau with them. But of course they would leave the kids behind, because as we all know, kids get in the way. But they'd always give them the safety briefing. Stay out of the water, be safe, be responsible, and don't make friends with the eels. But what did they do right when the parents left, of course? They named every eel and then threw their mates into the water to say hello to them. Which is why it's called the Otakaro, place of games. It's a very cool name. This bridge in front of us also has a very cool name. It is named the Low Bridge. This is because it is low. I only have 3 ways to negotiate this bridge as a punter, either by ducking, climbing over, or swimming. Those are my only 3 options. Today I will probably... Oh no, I'll duck today. Still here, guys, that's okay. I won't be leaving you that quickly. I'll be trying my best to sound
man.
So welcome to the Botanic Gardens, an absolutely lovely part of Christchurch. The Botanic Gardens are full of thousands of different species of flora and fauna from all around the world. It is a very international garden, and I'd highly recommend going for a walk if you haven't yet. Have any of us been for a walk through the gardens yet?
No.
I see now. So do you have a favourite part of the gardens at the back? Favourite part or not? And then on the left-hand side, we have the Christchurch City Hospital. The Christchurch City Hospital is one of the very few buildings allowed to be built inside the Botanic Gardens. This is so that people that are stuck in hospital at least have an opportunity to have a view of the gardens, river and park, which is a very nice gesture and perfect place for it. It's also there so that staff and patients can come outside on their breaks when they can get some fresh air and be in one of the most pretty parts of Christchurch. The building is also built on top of rubber foundations. They are there to help absorb any of that shaking or quaking that we could experience from an earthquake in the future. As I'm sure that we have all heard, we've had a few earthquakes here in the past. buildings are built to be able to withstand them now. But my favourite fact about the hospital, can we see that greyish bluish part of the building? The part with the camo-esque colouring. This was coloured in that specific way so that it will blend in with the background of the blue sky. The camo-esque part of it makes it blend in very well with the trees in front. And this was all done to make it less of an eyesore to the public, which is why I gave it the informal name of the Invisa Hospital, because I love naming things and they'll never let me do it, so I just do it anyway. You never know, one day it might catch on.
Mom, what's the word?
Probably the amount of people that I've told that to now, it has caught on.
I haven't seen any eel yet.
Wait, sorry?
I haven't seen any eel yet.
Well, the eels are nocturnal creatures, so they like coming out into the open water areas at night when there's no sun, because the sun can dry them out and they just don't like it. But that's why they hang out over by the boat sheds, because they are underneath the landing area where you were standing. That's where they were, underneath, hanging out in the dark and shady areas because they're evil. When we get back to the boat sheds, I'll be able to get some out and then you'll be able to see them. But you won't see many out in this water area, which is why it's okay to put your hands in the water. You may see one, but they're not that interested. Great question, I love questions. And now we approach one of the more romantic parts of the journey, going underneath this lovely willow tree. This willow tree is actually where we do get some proposals on the punts. I've always thought that proposals on the punts has quite a good ring to it, doesn't it? Proposals on the punt. That's the worst joke I have. I've only ever had one proposal on the boat that I was taking though. Only one. And I did say no. And as we approach the tunnel of love, make sure to say hello to some of the ducks. Just remember, good afternoon, quack, quack, quack. That's how to do it correctly.
Right now the botanical garden is looking all dry because of winter, right?
Sorry, I can't quite hear you. That's the question.
Then please pass my thing.
What was it? You're looking dry.
It is all like
So on the right-hand side, we have one of the world's largest waterfalls, as you can see. The waterfall is absolutely huge. It's the biggest one in Christchurch, maybe even the world. But it's actually not a waterfall, it's actually a freshwater spring. One of the many hundreds of freshwater springs that makes the river so clear and so cold. The water stays a cool 10 to 12 degrees all year round, really not fluctuating in temperature too much. So it's either always a good time for swimming or never a good time for swimming. The choice is yours. But personally, I've swum in this river many times, intentionally and unintentionally. It's never been warm, trust me.
He's like, just the two of us? Is it going well? I was like, yeah.
The river is also a public waterway, so we see all different types of boats and sea-going vessels on the river. Canoes, kayaks, stand-up paddleboards, and sometimes we even see some of the local uni students floating down the river on air mattresses with a box of beers. It's very entertaining. They quite often fall off their flotation devices, but they're always extremely generous, handing out beverages to the passengers on the punts. But there is a season for this though. There was a migration period. The Great Migration, we call it. So tell you a little bit more about me. So I love ducks. I have a lot of duck friends. I'll be introducing you to as many duck friends as I can. This is normally where quite a few like to hang out around here. So if I start saying a random name and pointing, I'm referring to a duck, for sure. There was a couple that does quite like to hang out in the bushes over here, so it's sometimes quite difficult to spot them, but I'll do my best. They are Domino and Domino's mate. Domino's a Swedish blue with a very spotty black and white head, and Domino's mate is also a Swedish blue but doesn't have a spotty head. They are, oh there they are, they're hiding out in that little thing over there. We will go over there, but we're not going to wake them up because they're having a sleep. So Domino is a Swedish blue, which is pretty much the boat shed duck. The original one, Morgan, was raised by the punters at the sheds, and ever since then we've been able to trace their family lineage. Domino has a very strange colouring, which makes him very recognizable. The reason for this is because it was crossed with a mallard, which is why you can see a little bit of green on the back. Then we have some of the mallards or grey ducks. So those ducks over there with the kind of green on the tops of their heads and the grey on the bottom parts, those are probably grey ducks, which are native to New Zealand, but they have bred a lot with the mallards, which make them very difficult to distinguish between. Then we have the most celebrity duck that we have, the highest form of celebrity, Herman the Great. Herman is a very lightly coloured male mallard on the right hand side, and he's got his head fully kind of just buried in his wings. He's 14 years old, so he's a very old duck. He sadly lost one of his legs when he was in a fight with an eel. He did win the fight though, we know that he won, because we haven't seen that ever since. He gets on very well for his old age, still very manoeuvrable, speedy, he's still getting all of the ladies, as you can see. We love Herman. Sometimes he'll come right up to you and say hello while you're punting down the river, and we'll let you pat him. Make sure to wave to people in that bus thing over there. Incredible tours. They know a lot more about gardens and trees than me. So if you want to know more about the trees and the flowers, go on one of those tours. I'd highly recommend. Lovely people too. So one of my favourite parts of this job is actually meeting people from all around the world. So, if you guys don't mind, we'll start at the front of the boat, we'll work our way back, and just tell us where we're from or where home is for us.
Mom.
Yes, at the front?
I'm from Townsville, Australia.
From Australia?
Yep.
G'day guys, it's lovely to have you here. It's awesome to have you guys
Yes,
here. And then the next group?
Bhavesh, I'm from Townsville, Australia.
Oh, awesome.
She is my lovely wife and 2 my kids.
Lovely.
So we came here for my son's birthday.
Oh wait, so this is your birthday today?
Not 2 days ago.
2 days ago, we'll still sing a happy birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mom. Happy birthday to you.
Guys, it's his birthday. Happy birthday. Yes, it's all good.
You turned 90.
If you hadn't told me earlier, I would have got people on the side of the river to sing to you.
That's why I did it.
It's always good fun. Anyway, the next group.
We're from Brunei.
From Brunei. Wow. Incredible. Wait, so where is Brunei-ish? Because I'm not too sure.
It's next to Malaysia.
Oh, awesome. It's lovely to have you guys here. I think you're the first group from Brunei that we've been to. Then at the back, we have some New Zealanders. We also have a helicopter. We're going to be flying there. To land across the road over here in front of us. They will land across that road in the other part, then get an ambulance to the hospital. So this is a much better option. It is quite funny though, when you're just having a nice relaxing punt ride, then a helicopter's flying directly above you. And then at the back, so where are we from in New Zealand?
Originally from Taitapu, just out of Christchurch.
Oh, awesome.
Originally Christchurch.
Well, it's lovely to have you guys here.
We're on voluntary service aboard.
It's lovely to have you. Yeah, I can't believe that you would all travel to the middle of absolutely nowhere, somewhere in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, away from everywhere else in the world, at the bottom of the world, just to see me. Absolutely baffling. And also, from here. Born in Christchurch, just back at that hospital over there. Grew up in Avon here. Haven't really gone that far. I think I grew up to be a punter and didn't realise. Oh, Australians, it's okay to be underneath this tree. I did check it for the drop bears, okay? It's okay. But this is where I will be turning around for today, doing my favourite manoeuvre. I call it the Avon Skewery. So we're all going to put our hands in the air and go woohoo, just like on the shot over jet, okay? Ready? 3, 2, 1. Woo-hoo! So exciting. I know it's very anticlimactic, but I still love it. So do we all get the return tickets?
Yeah.
Did? Good, good. I'll just take your word for it. So now we are heading downstream. It gives me a great opportunity to tell you about the river a little bit more. So the Avon River is 24 kilometres long. It starts in a Kauai suburb of Avon here in Christchurch, where I grew up. It bubbles out of a couple of freshwater springs over there. And from there, it just flows downstream through the suburbs until the boat sheds. That's about 8 kilometres. And then from the boat sheds to the estuary, it just grows in size. And that's about another 16, meandering its way right through the heart of the city, through the suburbs on the other side of Christchurch, before finally meeting the ocean. I'll tell you guys about these geese here. So these geese are called Canada geese. They aren't named after Canada. They're named after a guy with the last name Canada. Canadians always bring that one up. They're actually pests here in New Zealand. There's too many of them. They don't migrate because they don't like the ocean. And they're a nuisance. Destroying a lot of area and yeah. But I'm learning to love them. So I named all of them Dave. Every single one is named Dave because they all look the exact same. tell you guys about a few trees because I've talked about ducks enough. So on the right hand side we have my favorite tree of the journey. This tree, I've named it Big Red because it's big and red, but it's actually a sequoia redwood or a Californian redwood. The largest species of tree in the wild. They can grow to an amazing 86 meters tall and 12 meters wide, which is absolutely incredible. This one here is only a baby though. It's only 130 years old. Almost as old as Harmon, but still a baby because they can live for thousands. The oldest and biggest one being General Sherman. General Sherman is in California and he's 2,700 years old. They're big enough for a single lane road to travel through the middle of them. We're also going to be able to say hello to Harmon and Domino's mate once again, and a couple of Daves. Make sure to say hello to the Daves. It's very important. Hi Dave. Hey Dave. Remember, Daves don't quack, they go murk. Quack, quack. And if they hiss at you, it's not because they don't like you, it's because they're saying hello.
Dave.
There's Domino on the right hand side. Domino's mate. We also have the world's biggest 100% real metal daffodil on the right hand side. It's 100% real metal. And it's got lots of other daffodil friends.
Over there.
This area is called the Daffodil Woodlands, and they started planting these daffodils here during the Great Depression to bring some more colour and life back to the city, and they've done it ever since. It lets off a lovely smell and aroma. It's also a great place for photos. People love to come down here, take dog photos, cat photos, duck photos, and maybe even wedding photos. Punting is such a peaceful and tranquil experience. We quite often actually have people falling asleep on the boats. Normally passengers, occasionally a punter has a nap on the back. Normally they say something like, I'm going to let the park do the talking. No one notices. Small little white flowers, those aren't daffodils of course, those are snowdrops. They are planting these here because they bloom earlier than the daffodils. So then there's, you know, more flowers for longer. Makes sense. And as we go past the lovely sound of the world's biggest waterfall. So peaceful and so tranquil. Terrifying for its huge size.
You can hear it though. Big loud sound.
So loud, isn't it?
Yeah.
So much water.
Yeah.
Terrifying. I miss the biggest falls. Anyway, your time for relaxation is over. I'm training all of you how to punt. So if I fall off the back, one of you can take over. Hi Dave. So step one of punting, you've got to get a boat. There's about 3 options for this. You can either go to Cambridge or Oxford in the UK. Over there they'll let you loose on one of these boats with no license and no training, which seems like a lot of fun and also quite a lot of chaos and carnage, but mostly fun. Your second option is to get a job here. It's pretty cool. You get to push a boat down the river all day long, chat to people from all around the world, and make friends with ducks. Life doesn't get much better than that, and for some reason you get paid. I don't understand. Your third option is to kick me off the back of the boat. I would chase after you and push you in, but the option's still there. It'd be pretty funny. I would for sure talk about it every single ride if you did that. But anyway, so now that you've got your boat one way or another, you're going to have to get yourself your magical pole, stick, or quant. It'll appear on your right hand side in just a second. Magically, of course. Voila! Here we are. This is the quant on your right hand side.
Oh yeah.
So that piece of metal at the end is what sticks into the ground and gives me the traction to be able to push the boat along. Just like that. The boats can be very heavy. Some of the boats weigh about half a ton on their own. And then you add 10 people. They can get quite heavy at times. So now time to teach you how to maneuver so you can get away from me after you push me in. So if you want to go left, you get your quant like this, hold on to it. Then you want to stab it in on the left hand side of the boat, into the ground, push and lean. It's very important to lean because I have no muscles. So I've got to use all my body weight. If you want to go right hand side into the ground, push and lean. And if you want to go straight, you close your eyes, hope for the best, and maybe say a prayer. And it tends to work out. So now look at that, guys. You're all trained professionals. Woo-hoo, you've done it. So who's taking over if I fall in? We've got 2 volunteers. Okay, when I'm not looking and I'm in the water, you can fight for it, okay? Just fight.
You said no punching on the boat.
Well, if I'm not looking. No, I'm joking. I'm joking, guys. I won't fall in. Probably not. No promises. Anyway, we can relax once again. So on the left-hand side, we have the Christchurch City. Down. On the left, we have the curator's house. The curator's house was originally used as the residence for the curator. They were in charge of taking care of the botanic gardens and doing all those important gardener duties like weeding and planting. But now it is used as a fine dining restaurant. I haven't been there quite yet, but I have heard that the duck is absolutely amazing. Extremely fresh. Highly recommend. No, I'm joking, of course. They do not take duck from the river. I wouldn't notice if they started taking my friends, because I don't have many of them.